Where this year Harris County saw a record high number of voters cast their ballots.
That's right. Election officials also say turnout looked more like a presidential primary than a midterm. More than 200,000 people casting ballots on Election Day alone. KHU 11's Jalissa Garza is live at the West Gray Multi-Service Center, where voters waited for hours to cast their ballots. Jalissa, what are we learning about just how busy it was there?
Yeah, you know, Jacob, this is a popular polling location and it often sees very long lines, but our crews were here all day yesterday into the night, and I just want to give you context of what they saw. Right this morning, it is quiet out here, but right over there is the tennis courts. The line wrapped over there even beyond, and mind you, let me show you exactly where the front door is to vote. It's right. It's quite the long line, and it matches up with just those strong early voting numbers and also that momentum that carried into Election Day, and that high turnout could help explain why several major Texas races are now headed to a runoff. So in Texas, a candidate has to receive more than 50% of the vote to win a primary. If no one reaches that threshold, the top two candidates move on to a runoff election. This year, that includes the Republican primary for U.S. Senate between John Cornyn and Ken Paxton, and that's not the only race.
Incumbents in danger. You've got several who have been pushed to a runoff. You've got a railroad commissioner race going to a runoff. You've got the attorney general's race going to a runoff, and obviously the Senate race going to a runoff too. There is, I think, a moment in the Republican Party where they're looking for insurgents. They're looking.
Now, voters were also watching the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate. Overnight, State Representative James Tallarico won the nomination against Jasmine Crockett. In his speech to supporters, he called the campaign a people-powered movement built by thousands of volunteers across Texas. Now, voters will need to turn out again for the runoff election, which will be held May 26th to decide those close races. Of course, we're going to have more election results coverage coming up on KHOU 11 Plus during our extended morning newscast, so we hope everyone tunes in and switches over, because we've got a lot to talk about before November comes and before May. Back to you guys.
All right, that's right. And before May with the runoffs. Thank you, Jalissa. Another big race on the ballot, Congressional District 18.
Yeah, this was one of those districts that was drastically redrawn by Texas lawmakers last summer. Congressman Christian Menefee won that recent special election to finish the term of the late Sylvester Turner. With redistricting, Congressman Al Green moved from the 9th district to the 18th. Now, neither of those candidates surpassed 50% of the vote, so they will now head to a runoff in May. The winner for the Democratic Party will take on Republican Ronald Whitfield. He secured a primary victory over Elizabeth Vences.
The race for Fort Bend County Judge is another one we're watching closely, considering Judge K.P. George. The incumbent switched from Democrat to Republican after his criminal charges related to his previous re-election campaigns. Judge George, in fact, finished in last with less than 10% of the vote. Daniel Wong will represent the Republican Party come November in that race. On the other side of the aisle, Dexter McCoy got a little more than 40% of the vote. Rochelle Carter got 19%, but because no candidate surpassed 50%, a runoff will be required here. More election coverage throughout the morning, as well as extended coverage on KHOU 11 Plus. You can find full results on our website, khou.com.